Hello everyone. So today in this class we'll be discussing language, relevance and linguistic principles. When we study human language, we are approaching what some might call human essence, the distinctive qualities of mind that are so far as we know unique to man. Quoting Noam Chomsky. Language is undoubtedly the most valuable single possession of the human race. It's an integral part of human life. Man is clearly distinguished from other species by his capacity for using language. The term language is derived from the Latin word lingua, meaning tongue. Language is essentially a tool for communication. It helps man in several ways. It's helped him to reach back into a collective knowledge of his ancestors. No one can ignore the role of language in placing humanity at the pinnacle of progress. Language is quite necessary for the continuity of civilization. It is mainly through the language that human beings collect and preserve knowledge and transfer it to the next generation. Language teachers should acquaint themselves to the new ways of teaching English by adopting principles, methods, and application of modern linguistics in order to teach effectively. According to Washington, important principles may and must be flexible. There should be linguistic principles to make the teaching more fruitful. Let's look what are the linguistic principles in detail. Language as a structured system. Language emerges through the combination of sounds. Sounds are combined in a particular systematic order to make meaningful units called words. Words are put together in a certain manner to form meaningful utterances called sentences. Language is thus organized at the level of sound and structure and is in a systematic manner. Language is for communication. Language is a medium by which a person communicates his thoughts, ideas, feelings, expressions, and emotions. Language gives word to the emotions. It's a glorious gift given by God. The verbal and nonverbal language both are useful for communication. No other living beings use language except men. Language is a system of symbols. Language functions effectively when the symbols used are known to the speaker and the listener, the writer and the reader. Language symbols represent things that are not things themselves. For example, the word tree is not a tree, it stands for tree. There is no one-to-one correspondence between the symbol and the referent. The words and utterance here function as the symbols. Language is primarily speech. Language is primarily vocal. We communicate with others through speech and writing. Speech has been with us ever since human beings are evolved as a distinct species. But writing, it claimed to have a history of hardly 6,000 years. Hence, language considers speech as primary and writing as secondary. Written form is just a frozen representation of the spoken language. Language is arbitrary. There is no direct relationship between the sound of a word and the thing or the idea it represents. We cannot offer any logical explanation why an adult female human being is called woman in English, Zen in Persian, feminine in French, and Stri in Sanskrit. If this was not a property, there would have been only one language in this world. So, we can say that there is no one-to-one connection between the sound or the form of any word and the object it represents. Language grows and changes. Language is not static. Changeability is major property of language. It is dynamic and living as it is dependent upon the cultural change. For example, Old English period was a period of full inflections, whereas Middle English was a period of leveled inflections, and Modern English is of lost inflections. Language is cultural bond. We acquire language in a culture with other speakers and not from our parental genes. It's a cultural transmission. There is also teaching by those around a learner who themselves have learned from even earlier teachers. The learner's innate competency helps him to master the unique features of a specific language. Creativity or productivity. It is one of the important and distinctive feature of human language. Human beings use their linguistic resource to produce new expressions and new sentences. They rearrange phonemes, morphemes, words, and phrases to create a new mode of expression. So, small groups of sounds is used to form 100 or thousands of words, which in turn can be combined to produce infinite sentences. Language is unique. No language can be learned by resorting other language. For example, Malayalam is having the sentence structure as subject, object, verb, whereas in English it is subject, verb, object. Mother tongue is used to facilitate learning of foreign language, but total dependence will hinder mastery over target language. Displacement. Human beings can talk about real or imagined situations, right? Even if it is removed from the present surroundings or time, they can talk about it. For instance, we can talk about the dropping of atom bomb in Japan in 1945, but the animal communication is a response to stimuli. For example, in search of food, where there is a presence of food or in source of danger, they are making sounds. So their communication is context bound, whereas ours is context free. This is called displacement. Duality of language. Each language has a fixed number of sound units called phonemes, and they combine in particular manner to form morphemes. This language have two level structure or patterning, one of phoneme and another of morpheme. If I am saying I am or my name is, both bear the same meaning. This is what we call the duality of language. Interchangeability. Any speaker of a language is a listener too. He is theoretically capable of saying anything, and he is also able to understand when someone else says. This is what we call as interchangeability. So, we know that there are many areas of human activity and knowledge in which language plays a significant part. The study of language is closely linked with disciplines like psychology, sociology, philosophy, literary studies. And the branches of linguistics include psycholinguistic, sociolinguistics, and anthropological linguistics. Let's see what are the psycholinguistic principles of teaching. Principle of naturalness. When a child is born, the mother is considered to be his first teacher. A mother is equal to 100 teachers. Teaching must be in a natural way. Teaching should be based on one or two skills, like listening and speaking, then come the another two skills. Principle of learning by doing. Language focus to develop four skills such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. A child learns effectively by doing. He learns the language by model reading, imitation reading, silent reading, writing dictation, and spelling, which is essential. Principle of purpose. Everything in the world has its purpose. So English is also learned for the purpose like social, scientific, academic, and literary fields. Principle of imitation. Language is learned at its best through imitation. According to Robert Paul, when we learn first language, we face the universe directly and learn to clothe it with speech. When we learn a second language, we tend to filter the universe through the language which is already known. Principle of habit formation. As one's habit need practice, example like singing, dancing, as well as language also need practice. Habit brings things fairly automatically. The habit lie in one's personality deeply and reflect through speech, behavior, and thinking. Principle of motivation and interest. Everything is learned when we have proper motivation to take interest in that. Similarly, a teacher must motivate the students to take interest in learning. Principle of practice. We all know the fact that practice makes a man perfect, and the perfection in the language comes only by practice. Principle of selection. The language should be selected according to its frequency, teaching ability, usefulness, etc. And principles of gradation talks that language is an art and a science. Language teacher should proceed from known to unknown, from concrete to abstract. There must be gradation in the field of aims and objects. It means a teacher should select the base step which will be beneficial for the further study of language. Principle of connection to life. A language teacher should motivate the students to use the words, structures, phrases of English in their day-to-day life. A teacher should create a situation regarding their real life and motivate the students to express them in English language. Principle of proportion. There must be accurate proportion in all aspects and skills of teaching. One aspect should not be sacrificed for the other. Principle of aptitude talk that there should be taught language aptitude, that is phonetic, coding, grammar, rote memorization, and so on. For learning a language, language aptitude is necessity. We can say that language teacher must keep the principles in her mind while teaching English. The principles are the best tools that show the best results in teaching learning of a language. Thank you.